जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare। Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare। Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की, ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 3 will be reciting, and 3 is not having any purport, so we'll move to the purports of 4th and 5th are combined. So, discussing on 3 to 5 essentially. अधर्म लक्षणानां नरकाश्चानुवर्णिता मन्वन्तराश्च व्याख्याता आद्य स्वायंभूयतः भूयत अधर्म लक्षणानां नरकाश्चानुवर्णिता मन्वन्तरश्च व्याख्यात आद्य स्वयंभुव यतः अधर्मलक्षणानां नरकाश्चानुवर्णिता मन्वन्तरश्च व्याख्यात आद्य स्वयंभुव यथा। That is Adharma Lakshana, symptomized by impious activities. Nana, various. Narakaha, hells. Cha, also. Anuvarnita, have been described. Manu Antara, the change of Manus. In one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. Cha, also. Vyakhyata, has been described. Adya, the original. Swayambhuvaha, directly the son of Lord Brahma. Yataha. Wherein. Translation. You have also described at the end of 5th canto the varieties of hellish life that result from impious activities. And you have described in 4th canto the first Manvantara, which was presided over by Swayambhu Manu, the son of Lord Brahma. Having no purport, so we'll move to text 4-5 and directly read the translation and then purport. My dear Lord, you have described the dynasties and characteristics of King Priyavrata and King Uttanapad. The Supreme Personality of Godhead created this material world with various universes, planetary systems, planets and stars with varied lands, seas, oceans, mountains, rivers, gardens and trees, all with different characteristics. These are divided among this planet Earth, the luminaries in sky and the lower planetary systems. You have very clearly described these planets and the living entities who live on them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here the words Yathedam, Asrajat Vibhu clearly indicate that the Supreme, the Great Almighty Personality of Godhead created this material world with its different varieties of planets, stars and so forth. Atheists try to conceal the hand of God which is present in every creation, but they cannot explain how all these creations could come into existence without a competent intelligence and almighty power behind them. Simply to imagine or speculate is a waste of time. In Bhagavad Gita 10.8, the Lord says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, I am the origin of everything. Matta sarvam pravartate, whatever exists in the creation emanates from me. Iti matva bhajante mam buddhabhav samanvita. When one fully understands that I create everything by my omnipotence, one becomes firmly situated in devotional service and fully surrenders at my lotus feet. Unfortunately, the unintelligent cannot immediately understand Krishna's supremacy. Nonetheless, if they associate with devotees and read authorized books, they may gradually come to proper understanding, although this may take many, many births. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Vasudev, Krishna, is the creator of everything, and his energy is displayed in various ways. As explained in Bhagavad Gita 7.45, a combination of material energy, Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu, and spiritual energy, the living entity, exists in every creation. Therefore, the same principle, the combination of Supreme Spirit and the material elements, is the cause of the cosmic manifestation. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripatamam bande Shri Gurudin taranam parmanam madhvam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. First off, begging for blessings from all the devotees that we can discuss on this verses from 6th canto. Sundar Sham Prabhu, our senior devotees, Vamshivadan Prabhu. Feeling very scared. So sixth canto is a turning point in Srimad Bhagavatam. Because what happens till fifth canto is a very progressive development, Srimad Bhagavatam. So the third, fourth, and fifth canto describes about the creation at different levels, creation, secondary creation, and then planetary creations, which we just saw in fifth canto. While that is going on, and now we go into these different planets, we'll pick up the stories from different, like start with the Jamil, which is the human form, and then Daksha, and then Vritrasur. So it's going progressively deeper from the perspective of the creation. Also, in terms of devotional life, or in terms of approaching Supreme Personality of Godhead, it brings us step closer in the understanding of Lord. Like fourth canto typically described about the Karma Yoga. A lot of things were being discussed on doing one's duties, doing yajna, doing charity, being good, and obviously centered around God. But then in doing so, one may get distracted, and then that's where fifth canto starts. And towards the end of fifth canto, Sukdev Goswami highlights elaborately the hellish planets. The result of doing sinful activities, one may go to hellish planets. Obviously, when one hears about the results or suffering from the results of sinful activities, one may think, one may choose the route of piety, do pious activities. Because sinful activities, so much suffering, so let's do pious activities. And that's where sixth canto comes in. Because sixth canto, it establishes devotional service above piety. So the story of Ajamil, if we see, it's about a pious Brahmana, everything very good. Very great about his upbringing, very amazingly well versed in Shastras. But then piety could not save. What saved was devotional service. That's why sixth canto is described as Poshanam, protection by the Lord. So protection by the Lord is not offered by piety or saving from hellish planets. Poshanam, or the protection of the Lord, is given by his devotional service. So by rendering devotional service to Lord, prema bhakti jaha hoite, avidya vinasha jate. The ignorance is destroyed. Because ignorance cannot destroy ignorance. So piety is also a sense of ignorance, because one still continues to think that I am this body and let me try to make best arrangements to be happy in this body. But unfortunately, body changes. So body changes, and that's a law of nature. Whatever we hold on into this world, it keeps changing. It's like that we go to the beaches and we take the sand. Even if we go, not this sand, no, this sand, there is so much of kachara, let me pick up the sand over there. But whichever sand we pick up, it will go out of the hand. So it's not about choosing one situation over another. The point is that nothing is permanent in this world. And this is a journey of a living entity to come to this point, that actually the pleasures of this world are literally hollow and very, very superficial, very, very deceptive, very, very cheating kind of pleasures. And then one comes to the point of actually accepting. So Srila Prabhupada is, so therefore, like, no, the devotional service is the supreme thing, and that is being established in sixth canto. So therefore, it's a very big turning point in Srimad Bhagavatam. And particularly in this verse, which forms the premise of the sixth canto, Parikshit Maharaj is Radha Vrindavan Chand Bhagwan ki jai, Gaur Nitai ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra ki jai. particularly this sixth verse, this fourth and fifth verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, what we are reading today. Parikshit Maharaj is confirming his understanding of what he heard in the fifth canto from Sukdev Goswami and previously as well. And after that, he is going to put across question that what will happen, how will living entities be saved. And then Sukdev Goswami starts giving solutions, and eventually he gives the best solution, which is devotional service. Now we see notable point in Srimad Bhagavatam is how every time Sukdev Goswami is elaborating on the creation. Every time, whenever he gets the opportunity, he discusses about creation. Lord, his energy is creation. Lord, his energy is creation. Supremacy of Lord. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that Vyasadev, after he wrote all the Puranas, what he could not cover was Achinta Bheda Ved philosophy. And therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam came. So his cause of despondency was that the real philosophy of Achinta Bheda Ved was not covered. And this is Achinta Bheda Ved, that Lord is creating also, and he is above those creations also, he is controlling those creation also, and at the same time he is transcendental to them also. He is not affected by it. Repeatedly this point keeps coming. Repeatedly this points keep coming. And according to Baldev Vidyabhushan, understanding this point will generate bhakti and it will nourish bhakti. So there are certain things which generate bhakti. There are certain things which nourishes bhakti. Like we do parikrama of Lord following Srila Prabhupada, that nourishes bhakti according to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But then there are some things which generate bhakti, also nourish bhakti. So this knowledge is one such knowledge. It will generate bhakti and nourish bhakti. To understand that how Lord is Supreme Creator, Supreme Controller. Repeatedly we have to. That's why Srila Prabhupada always used to, in all the lectures, how Krishna is Creator, how we are soul. He always used to emphasize on this knowledge. Because if we actually digest this knowledge, everything else starts following. Everything else starts coming to place. So here we are, Prabhupada is referring to number of Bhagavad Gita verses about how Krishna is controller, how Krishna is God. Actually, by logic, we can come to this point that somebody is controlling. It's not difficult to understand by logic that somebody is controller. Like, we give session also, in DYS. Can a scientist believe in God? It's not difficult to understand by logic that we are not this body and there is some controller. But to get to the point of whether that controller is person or impersonal, that is where Shabda Praman comes in. That is where logic or realm of logic ends. Realm of logic ends there. What is the characteristic of that creator? That we cannot get to know. That's why there is so much of this thing. So the only differentiator is Shabda Praman. And within Shabda Praman also, actually, one may read scriptures, keep on reading scriptures, but if one doesn't take shelter of Guru, it is impossible to get hold of anything in bhakti. It's impossible. Actually, it's inconceivable. It's a chintya knowledge. It is not possible by one's mundane intelligence. Only when Guru, via the medium of hearing, places this knowledge in the heart of disciple, only then this is understood. Otherwise, it is impossible. Divya Gyan Hriday Prokashito. So this Divya Gyan only Guru can place. There is no other way. It is not possible by one's, that's why Prabhupada is mentioning, simply to imagine or speculate is a waste of time. It is simply a waste of time. And one may think that, what's so difficult in this knowledge? It's so easy. One may try to intellectually challenge oneself and others. What's so difficult in this knowledge? Kya hua? But it's not, it's achintya. At the end of the day, it is paratattva. It is beyond this material world. So unless it comes from that realm, we cannot accept it. And it has to not go via, it has to go via heart. It has to go via heart. And then it comes and then it gets digested. So therefore, if once this knowledge is there, then everything else comes. That's why Prabhupada used to say that sunlight is there, we can see ourselves also. God realization and self-realization go hand in hand. We don't have to separate the roots for that. And that's what, even when we say iti matva actually means hearing from the mouth of Guru. Iti matva means it is actually coming from the mouth of Guru. So therefore, the most important pillar of progressing in devotional life and understanding this subject matter is shelter of Guru. Unless that shelter is there, unless that submissive hearing to Guru is there, nothing is possible. So, so Krishna is creator of everything. It's logical. It's kiddish actually to think that there is no personal creator. And Prabhupada used to say, study the sample, you can understand the universe. Even if we see our own life, we can never say that the body is creating everything. The body is the result of the soul. Body is the result of consciousness. And not just body, our different things which we are accomplishing in life, our accomplishments are because of the life, the spirit soul. So, not just the creation, the energies and everything, whatever we are doing in our lives is just coming because there is soul. We are also like individual Brahmand only going. So, there is soul and there are 24 elements are going on and everything. So, it's a sample of the overall cosmic manifestation going on. But nobody, those people who deny God, they will never say that they don't do anything. If they are denying God, they should also deny that we are responsible for everything. Then only it makes sense. Otherwise, they are contradicting themselves. So if no so-called, no philosophers and no so-called scientists, blind faith, we can say in science, they say that no, there is no living force behind this whole creation, then we have to understand we are dead. Okay, we are dead. And we are not responsible for having or executing anything. Therefore, you should not get any credit. So therefore, you should not be credited for anything. Discredit them for everything. So if they demand credit, means they have to give credit to the Supreme Creator. And so this is something which is very important. It's very kiddish actually to believe that no, there is no Creator. It is never scientific. It can never be scientific actually. So whatever theories we keep seeing and hearing, so we keep interacting with so many students and we see that no, it is little bit of probing in, and everybody is actually blindly believing in those theories. That what they call as blind faith in religion is actually blind faith in science happening outside. There is no actual faith. But by little probing, by little logic, we can clearly understand that it's all baseless. So therefore, and thankfully, Kali Yuga is not such, everybody is Manda Sumanda, so even scientists are Manda Sumanda. The theories are also very hollow, so we can easily defeat actually by Prabhupada's mercy. So the point is that God is creator of everything. And this gets covered in various ways. It's not just in Bhagavad Gita, even the Vedas, even in the Upanishads, there are certain verses which talks about Krishna as being creator. What it says is, Ato Purusho Havai Narayano Kamayato Prajas Rejai. Then the Purush Narayan desired to create offspring. So this is basically coming from Mahanarayan Upanishad. Okay. And one may say that Narayana Upanishad, Krishna Upanishad, but then there are other Upanishad also which talks about Krishna being supreme. Like there is one Upanishad called Atma Bodha Upanishad, and which says that Brahmanyo Devaki Putra. Because usually there is a reference to Brahman in the Vedas, in the Upanishads. And then it concludes, and then at best it goes to Narayan. Then one may think Narayan or Krishna. But here it clarifies that Brahmanyo Devaki Putro. So Narayan is actually Krishna only. So it is being established that the same Narayan, the Brahman is actually Narayan and Narayan is actually Krishna. Because usually the confusion is that Brahman means no quality. In one sense, yes, the Brahman feature of Lord is apparently no quality, but no quality, exhibiting no quality is also a quality. So Krishna is never without qualities, even in Brahman. Let's say manifestation of Nirvishesh also is a quality also. So it is never that Krishna is in impersonal feature, even in impersonal. It is just the reciprocation to those who want to approach Lord as impersonal. So, but Lord is never without Shakti and without qualities, always. Whether it is his manifestation or interaction in material world, in the Brahma Jyoti, as Paramatma or as Bhagwan, Lord is always with his potencies, always. He is never separated. So that's a very important point. Okay, so that's what it mentions, that no, Narayan is actually Krishna, and and what are the energies of Krishna? So one is Krishna as source of everything. He is Upadan. He is basically the source of everything, and he is Nimitta. He is Nimitta means he is basically the cause of everything working, operating also. We say Nimitta Matrena Bhaves. Krishna is saying, become my Nimitta. But actually Krishna is Nimitta of everything also. So he enters into everything, therefore everything works. So in that sense, Krishna becomes Nimitta also in everything. So chair acts as a chair, table acts as a table, because Krishna has entered into everything. So in this way, Krishna is coming into everything. So that is one aspect of Krishna, and the other aspect of Krishna is how he is doing all these things through his energies, with which Krishna is always with those energies. Always. Energies are never separated as such from Krishna. So the three types of energies of Krishna are Chitta Shakti, Jiva Shakti or Tatastha Shakti or Jiva Shakti and Maya Shakti. So Chitta Shakti is superior energy of Lord. Jiva, which we have just heard in the translation, they come into existence. But Lord is always in control of all these potencies. All these potencies. Based on the value which the worshipper will give, Lord manifests himself accordingly. If the worshipper is devotional, respects the personal form of the Lord, then Lord automatically starts reciprocating in apparently material things also. So Lord is always present in his potencies. He is never separated from his potencies, but his manifestation or his reciprocation varies according to the person who approaches the Lord. So having this faith that Lord is a person is a very, very big thing. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur glorifies Kanishta Adhikari in Jaiva Dharma. We may feel bad if somebody calls us Kanishta Adhikari, he is Kanishta. But actually, Kanishta Adhikari is glorified in Jaiva Dharma. He says that, no, the best quality impersonalist who is the most austere in everything is nothing in front of Kanishta Adhikari. Kanishta Adhikari is so great. Why? Because Kanishta Adhikari has faith in the personal form of the Lord. Personal form of the Lord. The spiritual form of the Lord. He has that faith. So even though he may not have, but then that will become the source of generation of bhakti. And thus when bhakti will get more and more developed, he'll keep becoming his better version of himself. Better version of himself. Better version. We all have experience, no? We may not be the best, but we are always becoming better version of what we were before. So in that sense, bhakti is working, you know. We may think that, no, if he is like no bhakti, then why? But if we clearly compare ourselves with our past, we have definitely become the better version of ourselves. That's the power of bhakti. So that's why bhakti generates all the good qualities and all. But the source is the form, the faith in the personal form of the Lord. And then Srila Prabhupada starts to describe one very interesting line. He says, nonetheless, if they associate with devotees and read authorized books, fine, we'll understand personal. They may gradually come to proper understanding, although this may take many, many births. Now, this is something which is to be focused upon. Why Prabhupada says many, many births? Now, we hear that no bhakti means immediately we can go back to Godhead. Why Prabhupada is talking of anyone? Is there some deficiency in bhakti? Is there some this thing? No. When Krishna describes the four types of people who come and surrender unto him, four kind of Sukritivan devotees, he describes Artho, who are distressed. Then he describes Jigyasu, who are desirer of knowledge. Then he describes Artharthi, who wants some material acquisitions. And then he describes Jnani. Now, amongst all these fours, Jnani is considered to be the best. Why? Because Jnani is not that kind of Jnani which we like know, which usually we hear is being condemned. It's not impersonal. This Jnani knows that I am soul, there is Ishwar, and he is a separate person. I am soul, he is a spiritual person, and and he knows about the creation is coming out from him. So that Gyan he has. So therefore, such Gyani, he is not desiring anything. All he is desiring is to engage in devotional service. And therefore, Krishna says amongst all these four Sukritivan people, Gyani is the best because he doesn't waste his time. He just gets on with the business of rendering devotional service and quickly comes back to Godhead. Whereas the other three, they will wait for their desires to get fulfilled. Okay. So there, and actually it is being stated why Jigyasu is kept in between. So Artho and Artharthi will come to the point of Jigyasu, and then Jigyasu becomes Gyani. So it's a progression which is being mentioned over here. So only when the Artho and Artharthi, after enjoying many births, they become distasteful of the materialistic pleasure, they come to the platform of Gyan, and then Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanvan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So this becomes their form of knowledge. Their form of knowledge is not that there is enjoyment in this material world. Yes, Krishna is supreme controller. Yes, I am his devotee. But yes, there is enjoyment. Yes, there is some rasa I can get. No, that's not the distorted form of bhakti they have. Their form of bhakti is very clear. What is that? Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudallabha. That Lord is cause of all the causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So they become very crystal clear about the form of the Lord. Because it is only our material desires which block us from seeing the Lord clearly. Even when we hear why that knowledge is not deepening or seeping into our heart is because of the material desires. So therefore, Bahunam Janmanante Gyanvan Mahaprabhu. After getting frustrated with the material desires, then one comes to the point of that Krishna is the supreme cause of all causes, and then Buddha Bhav Samanvita Iti Matva Bhajanti. Then that such a great soul renders full, pure devotional service unto Lord. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we don't have to take many births, even though we may have come with very reasons. Because Srila Prabhupada is through his such convictions, so many purports, many devotees, institution, association, so many ways. He is deliberately, if you see practically in every lecture of Srila Prabhupada, he keeps harping on this point so that anybody who is thinking Artho, who is thinking Artharthi, who is doing Jigyasu, he tries to settle all those things and he is trying to make everyone fortunate and take back to Godhead in this very lifetime. That's the beauty of Srila Prabhupada. That's the beauty of Acharyas. So, yes, when it comes to soul and God, if the soul is not progressed to the level of Gyan, he may be at the level of Artho, Artharthi or Jigyasu. He will take his natural time, but when sadhu comes in the life, he accelerates our journey. He accelerates our journey. I mean, it will not go as a usual. It's like this, no, I'm going on a cycle. I'm going to Mumbai on cycle. Definitely I'm going, okay. So it's not that my path is wrong. Everything is fine. But sadhu comes, he comes with a big vehicle and he puts me on my cycle because I want to go on my cycle. Okay, attach to your cycle, put your cycle on the vehicle, and now I'll drive the van. And then sadhu comes and then accelerates our journey to back to Godhead. That's the beauty of devotee. That's the beauty of Guru, Acharya and devotees who come and repeatedly harp on this point that yes, there is no point, and they keep on showing the true face of this material world. They keep on showing the true face of the material enjoyment. They keep on showing so many things about frustration in trying to be enjoyer in this world. And by this, at some point of time, they quickly accelerate our journey to come to the point of Gyan. That, okay, it doesn't make sense. Fine. Let me go to this walk or traverse this path of pure devotional service and go back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he describes that, no, how one accepts bhakti, so then he does the analysis. Where it is done by Krishna, Krishna says, things will not move if it is just by Krishna, because Krishna says, you desire, but desire only is a problem, so how will it move? Then Uttamadhikari, he doesn't see any differentiation. And then comes Madhyamadhikari. Madhyamadhikari sees the difference, that okay. And then he harps into, forces into the life of a living entity and gives devotional service, brings him to the path. And no, that's what has happened in all of our cases. It's not that we had a very probably spontaneous, we were somewhere pushed by different devotees and brought into devotional service and repeatedly harped on something because of our good, for our good actually. So, so that's what the point is. So such a great soul becomes very rare, and Prabhupada is making such rare souls or such rare achievements of souls very elaborately he is giving to everyone through his purports and through his things. Therefore, many times when the purport is not basically talking about it, then still Prabhupada talks about that, no, why this material world is a source of misery and things on, so on and so forth. Actually, in Kali Yuga, it's not very difficult to get frustrated also. It's very easy, thankfully. It is, so many things are happening which keeps us sufficiently frustrated. So it's not a big deal. Body is not favorable. If body is favorable, then people around are not favorable. If people around are favorable, then the job may not be favorable. If the job is favorable, then so something will keep on happening, Then maybe, some countries are not favorable. So something, and then COVID is not favorable. So something will keep happening, That's the nature of Kali Yuga. So all we have to do is two things. And that's the conclusion from this verse is that, first, continue taking shelter of bona fide spiritual master, who is that's the only way of placing this achinta knowledge within our heart. There is no other way. There is no other way. We can just keep, let's say we get something and we can keep shining it. We get gold and we can keep shining it. That we can do. But that gold has to come from someone. So that gold, that spiritual knowledge is actually, we get received from Guru. And then second is dissociating ourselves more and more from wherever we are. We try to graduate more and more by dissociating ourselves from the materialistic pleasure. In that sense, this form of spiritual knowledge will take its true form, and the distorted form of this Achinta Bheda Ved knowledge, or the Lord being Supreme Person, will get very quickly manifested in our heart. And therefore Prabhupada used to say, and with this we'll end, that Prabhupada used to compare that fertile woman and a potent man leads to pregnancy. And therefore, and the same way Prabhupada used to say, the Guru and the disciple who is actually sincere, the bona fide Guru and sincere disciple, when they come, bhakti takes birth. So we just have to go back to that basic principle and keep emphasizing, and then this knowledge of Lord being a creator and Lord being the enjoyer of everything, whatever we say, whatever we are seeing, things around us, including us, is going to get clearly manifested in our heart. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any comments? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for your wonderful class. You had mentioned about how by taking shelter of bona fide spiritual master, that is the only way that we can understand this Achinta Bheda Tattva. So in that, Prabhuji, in the beginning of your lecture, you had quoted Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that this knowledge of Krishna's energies and Achinta Bheda Tattva. So this particular knowledge is bhakti generating.
Generates and nourishes bhakti both.
So, Prabhuji, my question was that we also hear bhakta sanjayate bhaktya. So, and you also quoted in your lecture that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, that he makes that analysis. So, this particular Achinta Bheda Ved Tattva philosophy, it nourishes our bhakti, that's understandable. But how does it generate?
It generates because that's how we start bhakti. Only by understanding that Lord is creator, and if we go back, that's why the foundational spiritual courses what we have, we start with this only. Now the point is that how devotee comes into the place is because that his relation and his mercy, of course, because of his own realizations, and he can connect to you and so many. So he, it's like this, So we go to an operation theater, right? So who is treating us? Ultimately, the doctor is treating us. But then there is also the help, compounder, and he comes and he makes some relation with us. Night, nothing will happen. Don't worry, not much of pain, So he establishes, and then doctor comes and treats, So we are like, no, so devotees act as that assistant to the doctor, which is Srila Prabhupada, and he makes that whole place for us. They also give the same knowledge, but based on Srila Prabhupada's knowledge, but then they make us more comfortable and make that knowledge more relevant for us in our situation, and addresses our immediate burning things so that our heart becomes peaceful to accept this knowledge. Because see, we have to, after all, stay on the operation table to get operated, you know. If we keep jumping, then the operation will not happen. So devotee does that job of, no, okay, no, don't worry, you know, he gives pacifies, and then ultimately the job happens. You know, Srila Prabhupada does his job by his lectures and by his purports and all those things. So Achinta Veda Ved is given by devotees, yeah. They become medium.
So can we say, Prabhuji, as a reconciling statement, that this Achinta Bheda Veda philosophy coming through a bona fide devotee,
Yes.
so that's actually Bhakti Jnana?
Absolutely. That's how it has to come only. That's the only way. How Achinta Veda Ved Tattva comes. There is no other way. It's not there is. It can only come through parampara.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for your wonderful explanation about understanding supremacy of Lord and how only by Shabda Praman we can understand and taking shelter of Guru. Actually, my question is about that statement which is very shocking, where Prabhupada is saying, which you quoted, that, you know, unfortunately the unintelligent cannot immediately understand Krishna's supremacy. Nonetheless, if they associate with devotees and read authorized books, so these two things they are already doing, they may gradually come to the proper understanding, although this may take many births. So he is talking about people who are already associating with devotees and reading his books. So still he is saying that it may take many births.
Yeah.
So what does this mean? Because in the next purport, in 16th verse, where Prabhupada is similarly saying that the word kechit, which is used in this verse, means a few people but not all. Not everyone can become Krishna conscious. So how to understand this statements?
Sure.
Because it is applicable even after coming, he is saying.
Yes, very much. So that's what, like, no, when Lord Krishna describes 4 kinds of people, that's what I was explaining, that, no, they are considered to be devotees only. Sukritina, Artho Artharthi, Jnani Jigyasu. So Artho Artharthi Jigyasu, they are coming with desires. So they will, unless their desires are getting fulfilled, they will not come to the platform of completely surrendering to the Lord, which is actually Gyan. That Gyan is like, no, that I am Lord, Supreme Lord is Ishwar, we are separate, I am a servant. That Gyan is there. And when person is having that innate faith and knowledge that Lord is Lord, He is spiritual, I am soul, and, you know, or like, no, that I am the servant of the Lord, that some innate faith is there around that, then it's very natural for him to just pick up devotional service and go on. But when there are other categories of devotees, they may take time. That's what it's saying, many births. So even the one-made devotees, unless the pleasures of the world become distasteful, let's say in case of Artho, Artharthi and all, and they may go also, come back also. Once their desires are fulfilled, they may go back and then come. And some of them, they may stay, but then the full focus will not come, because still Artho, Artharthi, Jigyasu, this is going on, you know. So when that is being satisfied, when one understands that you have 10,000 rupees, 10 rupees is included in it, so then comes to the point of actually surrendering to Krishna. Therefore, it may take many births also. While they are devotees only, qualified to be devotees only. Although they are reading Prabhupada books, although they are reading authorized books. But then, you know, it's a journey of a living entity also, right? It's not that everybody will be at the same level of consciousness. The consciousness will still vary, even though we may be in, it's a practical thing which we see also, that no, not everybody is at the same level of consciousness. It may take time. But yes, in the association of devotees, it may so happen that that change may become quicker, because that devotee may share his own experiences, which may be even more make it or increase our faith in the conclusions of such books. That's why we are reading Prabhupada. Everybody is reading Prabhupada book. Then one will have varying levels of understanding, realization, faith, applicability, conviction, and all those things will vary, keep varying, because of all these different elements which are there, which are distorting our consciousness. So that's how it is. But the solution is also to continue reading Prabhupada books and associating with devotees, so that this distorting consciousness can become okay. Make sense or no?
About rarity of pure devotion.
Yes, it is
because
there.
other devotion, like 10th offense we say, no?
Yeah.
that way, because it's quite shocking statement. Prabhupada is.
Yeah. So pure devotional service is very easy and very, like, no, it says not simple. The process is simple because it's all about hearing. Simple, but application becomes difficult, because one may have one's own prejudices, desires, and all those things, because of which the application of the process becomes difficult, and thus it may this thing. So pure devotional service is simple, it's not complicated, but we complicate it. So in one sense, that is not rare, but it's rare to have desire to just render pure devotional service. That becomes a problem. Otherwise, it's like freely available. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving it. It's not something which is extremely difficult, but problem becomes our blockages and things like that, which kind of blocks our consciousness. So we have to do it. That point of like when somebody holding the tree, and it's very different. All you have to do is lead the tree. So we may have, even after coming to devotional life, we may have more faith in our conditionings than Lord. More faith in karma than Lord. Which means what? I mean, we are still reading in it, but then the faith is internal. Okay. So karma is powerful, conditionings are powerful, Krishna is more powerful. Krishna is more powerful than Gandhi. That faith we need to have. So that is something which will eventually happen. But as we discussed, that association of devotees, it accelerates that journey. Association of sadhus, it accelerates that journey. Otherwise, it will, if we take it many births. Yeah, it's a fact. Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.